Hello everyone, Azzapp here, and today I have a very nice curveball for you. Nobody really expected this to happen, but I think I found the best Vel'Koz build by far. This is a weird thing. We are going from this Vel'Koz, okay? We're going from this regular, plain old thin, normal squid cephalopod to a chunky boy, the beefy Koz, okay? We're abusing beef Koz, the thick Koz, tank Koz. So this is why I love new seasons. It's an age of exploration. Anything is possible. You can experiment, you can try different things. And boy, do I love doing that in theory crafting. After playing over 100 games, 122 games of Vel'Koz this season already in like 8 days, I did a lot of testing, okay? So I've tried out numerous builds, mid, support, AP carry, bot, whatever. I've done everything. I've landed on some very cool things that you will not expect. It's pending for MIDBEAAAST video, okay? That's how good it is. I tweeted about this. Every single Vel'Koz main approved it essentially. So if I told you last season that Vel'Koz will not be running Flash, you would have laughed. You would think I'm trolling. But the truth is, Vel'Koz optimal summoner spells now are Ghost Teleport. He's playing like a top laner, but we're still playing him in mid lane, although you could play him in top lane with this and you can play AP carry. Support can also work, but you need to opt in for cheaper items. What are we doing and how are we achieving tank Vel'Koz? The tweet is popping off, everybody's raving about this. There's a lot of talk about the newer mages or how the lack of the correct mage build. Nemesis talked about this. Some people are trying out very tanky Lux builds with Conqueror. I guarantee you this is way better because Conqueror is a little bit suboptimal and Vel'Koz is better than Lux when he builds tank. I've experimented a lot and it turns out the beefier I got, the better my results. This is rocking over 70% win rate on over 20 games so far in pure master ELO, and keep in mind I'm playing on 135 ping in North America. So you can pull this off in any ELO, in any ping. Trust me, it's certified. Why this works in general, a lot of stuff got removed and mages fall into the burst category. There's not much CDR spam. The line reach is not very accessible for mages. There's a very big gate on early damage post burst, right? So everyone plays for burst. Tank items are fairly cheap. Zhonya's and Banshees are more of a snowball item than a defensive item now because they're very expensive, so you cannot build defensive in those means. So the best thing you can do is build hybrid. When you consider that all you need is CDR and your passive damage is going to be fairly high due to base damage, and true damage scales infinitely. The longer the game is, true damage is better because people generally have more resistance as longer the game goes. So the value of your damage is higher. So Vel'Koz is probably the best mage tank currently. And this is what you do. You're essentially valuing your levels, your base stats. You want to beef up your HP and CDR. And you also want to find some utility. Rod of Age is going to give you 1 free level. Seraph's going to give you a shield. One of my favorite items is Jaksho. It's pretty funny, but it works really well when paired up with something else that's defensive. One of the most broken things you can do is when enemies have 4 ADs or even 5, you get plated steel caps into Frozen Heart and you're immune. We have won a game 4v5 with this build. Our Soraka died once and left the game, okay? We've won at level 18. This game went long 4v5. In late game, the disparity of 4v5 gets bigger and bigger the longer the game goes, and we still won 4v5 in Master Elo. That's ridiculous. And even the lost games, I feel like I've made misplays and I could have heightened my impact by playing better. It's less punishing. You have more chances to make more plays, which means you have more chances to make more visible mistakes, and you're going to be more self-critical, but also feeds into the concept that you have a lot of impact on the game, because if you perfected all of those sequences, you could have done so much more, and even without that, you're still winning. I played against I Will Dominate. He was typing in Ultra like, there's no way that works. You're going tank Koz? No way that works. I'm telling you, yes I am. Second item, Kadik Rukern. That's what I'm doing. Okay, cannon dead. I got Ocean! Get away from me! Get away from me, Dominate! How good is the tank? Somebody ask him in the chat, how good is actually the tank? And I'm so confident in this build, so confident it's so goddamn good, that I've posted this build on my official Mobafire guide. All the new items are there, all the new builds, even support builds, and I will keep updating that patch by patch. And tank Koz is in there. That's how good it is. It's not a meme build. It's not gonna go away. Abuse it right now. Second win gives us tankier laning phase, and it's also gonna sustain you throughout the game. You can opt in for bomb plating if enemies are super burst oriented, like let's say you're dealing versus LeBlanc and maybe something else, LeBlanc, Kha'Zix, whatever. Bomb plating may have higher value than second win, but generally second wind overgrowth is the pair up. You want to get that base health that also synergizes with this and synergizes with a lot of other things. We don't need AP. We don't really care. You're going to get ability haste, adaptive force, and MR. That's going to change during the next patch. Probably going to go for his scaling health. So remember that. We're probably going to get haste, scaling health, and you want to be scaling essentially. Okay, we don't want to spend any money. We want to save our money to rush Rod of Ages as soon as possible. Usually you're going to get Rod of Ages at about 8 minutes, 9. That's pretty damn good. If you get at 7, it's phenomenal. What we're doing here is you're going to get first strike. Vel'Koz has high base damages. You're going to have high damage. You can still get 700 AP with this build, 650-ish, depending on like the games, what we're going to do with the build. I'll tell you all the routes. Essentially, if you see a squishy with no defensive stats, with first strike and they face check into you or you catch them, you act like a mage Vel'Koz. You're going to destroy them one shot, okay? You will absolutely one shot them. True damage, late game damage, base scaling is pretty good, and first strike bonus like upon impact. As a pick-off character, you work. Now, obviously, you can't burst tanks or really tanky bruisers, but that's not the point. Like, the real Vel'Koz can't do that anyway. Except this time, you don't die and you fight him in the second rotation. But squishies, you still one-shot. So that doesn't change. And that's the beauty of this. Also, it gives us money, which accelerates the build even further. So here we save money, here we save money. Future market, absolute must. It's way too broken. You're gonna get this 3 or 4 times in the game. You're gonna get earlier Catalyst, you're gonna get earlier Rod, you're gonna get earlier Archangel, you're gonna get earlier Frozen Heart. Like, Frozen Heart is 2.3k. It's gonna get nerfed and it's gonna be 2.4 or 5, I'm not sure. Still, it's gonna be too good. Currently, your recall with 2,000 gold, you buy an item with Futures Market. You buy a full item, Frozen Heart, and you make 80 carries useless. And then we're going Cosmic Insight, which pairs up with our Ghost and Teleport. Why Ghost Teleport, not Ghost Flash, is teleport value super high right now. Teleport value went up due to the Baron being tankier. There's more Void Grub situations going on. The emphasis is no longer on dragons that much, but turns out if the Baron is longer, there's more time, there's bigger window for you to teleport and thwart the enemies while making a comeback play. And this happens so many times. I've already done a Baron steal with this. You teleport, you destroy enemies, you boot them out, you make them reset, you kill the Baron. There's so many counterplays there, and you're gonna lower the cooldown with that. I've explained already the secondary side. Now there's an option where you want to do the full resolve, where you go like Grasp or Aftershock, but I'm not a huge fan because this top part is not that relevant. It's not like you're gonna get huge value from this, and I think first strike trumps going Grasp or Aftershock. This is the rune set. It's way too good. Now one thing changed. You may notice, okay, this is gonna make my early game weak. I'm also buying Catalyst of Eons. I'm going for into Rod, so I'm gonna be weaker early. What does that mean for us? We're gonna shift our leveling order back to the old school. So now we're doing 3 points W. Level 5, you're gonna have W at rank 3, which means you can wave clear the entire wave with just W. And that's such a cheat code here because it fixes this build without Dematerializer and AP. So your early game gets fixed by going 3 points into W. You instantly clear the waves anyway. You still got pretty good damage. And your W being stronger makes you better in these extended fights versus multiple enemies, which you will be in because you're super tanky. That out of the way, let me show you the items. So we're gonna start Sapphire and Refillable Potion, okay? On your first recall, generally, you want to get Tier and Ruby Crystal, something like that. If you get more money, better. But generally, you want to pick up Tier, Ruby Crystal. At this point, you're already safe in lane. You have infinite mana to spam, you have Refillable, you have Teleports, you can come back, reset the waves. Enemies, if you're not running Teleport, you can land a freeze on them, and you get free laning phase. At around 8 minutes, we got this bad boy, okay? After then, the default scenario is, because you bought Tier so early, you can rush Archangel. Those are your 2 most offensive items in the build, funnily enough. So you're super tanky, you're gonna have nearly 3k HP here. You have a Seraph Shield, which is gonna save you quite a lot. You have pretty good runes that synergize with your build, making you tankier, but you do tons of damage. At this point, we didn't really sacrifice. We'll lose like 5% damage than regular Vel'Koz would. Now later on, we opt in for defensive stuff. Because it's 4 ADs, we're gonna go play the Steel Caps. Very easily, you can go Merc Treads, depending on the game. If there's no clear goal you wanna block, you go Lucidity. It's just for utility, right? Then, we rush Frozen Heart. Frozen Heart makes us immune. Like, once we get play the Steel Caps and Frozen Heart, that is the cheapest way to remove every AD in the game. They just do nothing. Yesterday, I saw Kiana run away from me and flash out of sheer panic. Just, it brought me such satisfaction, you have no idea. That Kiana cannot burst you without any skill, just pressing like some buttons. Then you get Jaksho, and this also scales in the duration of the combat and scales off of your bonus resistances. Here, they had 1 AP. I wanted to get a little bit of MR just to pad my stat. And also, the fights tend to last long because you have Belvet extended fight, Atrix extended fight, Kalista extended fight because she has to stack her things. Their mid laner was useless to me anyways. Like, he couldn't burst me. Even without defensive items, just versus Rod, he would do like 50% damage. That's it. Like, he can't do anything. So at this point, you have over 200 armor, and you just don't take damage. damage. This is a game where we played AP carry, but I did double support item. And here we got Mercs, Canic Rookern versus enemies with like 4 APs essentially. 3.5, 4 APs. So Canic Rookern shield with this shield and Seraphs. And we had a Mountain Soul. It was like a walking truck. I just sat in front of enemy fountain and they couldn't even break my shield. They just gave up. They literally gave up this game. They were AFK in the base. So look how cheap this is. Rod, and then we get Archangel. Super cheap, okay? Then Frozen Heart, super cheap again. Frozen Heart, this is usually versus AD. Then Juxri is gonna fix you up a little bit against AP, and you're gonna do crazy tankiness there. Canic Rookern is versus APs, obviously. You can finish the build with Deathcap very often and pair up the damage. Riftmaker is great, and it's getting a nerf right now. The nerf is not going to be big. It's going to be only 100 gold increase, which is still going to make it worth for you to purchase. But again, if they don't have clear damage design, like we are heavy AD, heavy AP, you don't necessarily want to stack too many resistances, you can get Riftmaker. So here, you pad in the Riftmaker, then maybe you get this bad boy, right? And then it's synergized with all this health. And then, final item in this build, you can get Deathcap. So this build right here is going to get you 650 AP. You have 4,000 HP, 650 AP as a tank Vel'Koz that almost never dies. Anathemas. I think I built Anathemas in one of the games. Again, super cheap. Let's say enemies have a bland profile. 4 APs, 1 heavy AD. Okay, so we go Canic Rookern for APs, and we get Anathemas for the AD, right? You block 30% of damage from them, while you block everything from everyone else, and then you're still immune. With the Riftmaker nerfs, let's say you're dealing versus like 4 tanks. Instead of Riftmaker, you can just go Lion Race. These are all the items and builds you have to memorize, essentially. This is it. There's nothing else you need to give you success. See you guys in a MIDBEAAAST video. This Vel'Koz player climbed North America with 150 ping with a tank ghost teleport Vel'Koz, you know, whatever. Also, a quick thank you and a shout out to all the patrons supporting these videos, because I'm publishing these slightly earlier because of all the YouTube processing, the thumbnails, and waiting on the YouTube to remove the yellow $ bullshit. So yeah, the videos are going to be up there a bit earlier, some exclusive content, and recently I have stopped doing coachings, essentially, for good. Like, I will be removing coaching as a offered thing to sell. I just can't keep up with them. It's way too much work, and I don't want to be raising prices absurdly. So we're going to be doing coaching on a case-by-case basis, only on Patreon exclusively. Any patron, obviously, like a slight privilege to the higher tiers. They can even DM me, contact me all the time. I will respond on a fair basis and communicate at all times, trying to update them with their work and climb and progress. But in general, I will be picking people from there when I want to do coaching. It's going to be happening probably on a bi-weekly basis or something like that. We're going to be doing it for general, macro, or educational principles that we can try to turn into these tiny short videos that are going to help people there. So yeah, thank you all so much. Appreciate you, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye bye.